Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I am your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today is the beautiful, the lovely adult star that is Miss Princess Gemini. Gemini, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I am very, very well. First and foremost, I appreciate the time. You're a beautiful and lovely human being, so I look forward to diving into how you got into the adult entertainment industry and discussing the industry as a whole. It's truly a pleasure.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, let's first and foremost start off on that note. Tell us how you got into the adult entertainment industry. You do a lot of great films, which we'll discuss in this forum today. But let's talk about how that journey began to have you get into the adult entertainment industry and the adult films.
So I started out probably when I was 21 in the swingers lifestyle. My husband and I were voyeurs for a little while. Then I started promoting parties and events, and eventually I started hosting my own parties and events. And at my parties and events, some pics and videos were taken that obviously got out. I got a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning from a member of the lifestyle community telling me they found me on Pornhub.
Mhm.
I had never even been on that website before, so I woke my husband up and I asked him to Google Princess Gemini, and he found two videos up of me and one with my good friend Sapphire Bliss. Sapphire decided it was what it was, and she's doing her regular vanilla job. I decided I'm already out there. I'm a stay-at-home mom by day. I might as well make money with it by night. So I just took off with it.
Oh my goodness. Well, first and foremost, I will say this right now. I mean, you're already out there, like you said, there's a video of you out there. So, let's run with this. And first and foremost, you have a great job, staying home mom. You're a mother. That's the greatest job in the world. And I gotta say, God bless to you on being a mother and being a family mother. You're very welcome. And I get it. I'll be honest with you. Most of my life, I was raised by my mother. So I get it. One of the biggest influences in my life. So you're being a great influence to your kids. So I look at it from this stance, Gemini. You have the great job of being a mom, but you also have that stance of getting into the industry. You're already out there. So let's say, hey, let me just express myself in this manner and we can make a career out of it, which you have. Now, I got to ask you something. Being, again, with the voluptuosity factor and everything that you encompass from an internal and external standpoint, beauty wise, now getting into said industry, is that something you felt like, comfortable? You felt something good? You know what I'm saying? Were you feeling yourself? Was it the body positivity? What is it that really, like, kind of got you? You say, you know what? Hey, I'm already out there, so let me just dive right into this career.
Um, I think I was already like FetLife. When I was in the lifestyle, FetLife kind of blew up for me, and for that, I was already getting job opportunities from FetLife,
Mhm.
and my picture and videos were already out there. So I just kind of went with it. It was more a way to bring Christmas gifts under the Christmas tree. It was just an extra income coming in. That's how it started. It wasn't like a goal or anything. It was just like, I'm already there. I might as well just go with it. And then it just built up from there. We ended up leaving Boston a year ago, about a year and a half ago now, um, because I was getting job offers to come out and shoot in Vegas. And we have 6 kids. So for me to keep getting job offers to come out here, it became very costly. So it was easier just to relocate everybody to Vegas. And then a lot of the talent and models come to Vegas all the time, anyways, that don't have kids or have smaller families or a flexible schedule. So they're here. So I just relocated everybody here so I can be with my kids and work.
Well, first and foremost, once more, God bless 6 kids doing what you can, being a great mom that you are. And Gem, and I have to say this as well with the utmost sincerity and respect. God dang, man, that is a transition. You're in Las Vegas, and this is where I got to ask you the transition to Vegas. They say Sin City, it's a land of opportunity. It's kind of like a gold mine for the adult entertainment industry. And it's just a great place for my business aspect when you think of boxing and overall combative nature with sports. How was that transition from you going to Las Vegas?
Um, I like it here. It's definitely a change. It's different, but it's where the universe pointed me. It's where I'm supposed to be.
First and foremost, I like that because here's what I'm going to say. As someone who can look at it from that spiritual standpoint, we all have a place to go. We all have our path in life that God chooses for us. So I got to say, I like your mindset on that because it's very true. Everybody has a place and everybody has a path to go down. I think you're going down the right path.
Yeah, and my goal wasn't to grow up and be a porn star. It's just the way when life throws you lemons, you just take them and you do your best with it. And this is where I ended up. Everybody in my vanilla lifestyle is happy and has everything they need and want. So obviously it's working for us.
Absolutely, and like you said, making lemons out of lemonade, and boom, you know what I'm saying. I would say I'm gonna say this in the utmost sincerity and respectful way, man. I think you're quenching everybody with your thirst, man. You know what I'm saying? Putting out the great content that you do, it does help on your stance, you know.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Ah, you're very welcome. I have to also look at it from this standpoint, man, because I've seen a lot of the films that you've done, and I look at it from a stance of you have a lot of great content with your many vids. There's what you're doing with your website. I wanted to ask you about this because, man, I've seen a lot of your work with the likes of Mr. Mysterious, Don Prince, and we're talking about Christian Triple XL. Each and every one of those you've had chemistry with. Each and every one is great content, and it really shows the vibrancy and everything that you exude and accentuate from a passion standpoint in each and every film that you're in.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So now let's start with Christian Triple X, excuse me, because he does a lot of great work in his own right. I want to ask you about working with him because there's a very sensual scene between the two of you. I want to ask you about the experience working with Christian.
I worked with Christian twice. He was actually after I came to Las Vegas pregnant. So he messaged me right after I had the baby, and I told him give me to March to heal and get the okay from the doctor, and that's what he did. He messaged me again in March, and he said, "You ready to shoot?" So he was my first shoot after maternity leave.
Mhm.
So he was the one that first got to experience Princess Gemini out here this year or in 2020. He was really fun, very professional. He taught me a lot because he was my first shoot and he is so professional. He taught me angles. He was a really great guy. He just like, he really was a good step in the right direction for me coming out here and him being my first shoot because I wasn't a professional model coming out here. I still don't consider myself a professional model because I'm still learning like the faces and the angles and positions and stuff like that. Christian's a very good teacher, so I appreciate him for taking me under his wing and teaching me all that.
I think you so eloquently said that as well because I think a lot of people don't realize. And I also look at it from a stance too, and why I respect what you guys and gals do and what everybody does in their own different endeavor and art form, so to speak. Because at the end of the day, it is an art form from the stance of everything from behind the scenes, the right angles, the right shot to encompass that scene, the very passion scene that it is. There's a lot of things that go into behind the scenes that a lot of people don't even realize.
Oh yeah, Christian yelled at me once or twice because I almost broke his dick off because, again, it was my first scene, one of my first scenes coming out of maternity leave. So certain angles were still sore, and so I was out of. It was just everything, but it worked out.
Well,
And I have back issues and that weird when BBWs are trying to do that forward cowgirl, reverse facing cowgirl. That
yeah.
position is so hard to get into. And Christian was just like, "Trust me, I can hold you. Just fall back and like do it." And he yelled at me for that one. Finally, I just like gave up and let him take my weight, and I did it. I
Well,
was so nervous of hurting him.
well, first and foremost, I don't mean to laugh, but the way you just so bluntly put, like, I almost broke his dick off. I'm like, all right, well, no, I get it. Here's the stance I look from it. You know what I'm saying? Like you talk about the
The
BBW,
angle
everything.
they want the angle for the camera, and like the most comfortable way, obviously, the camera's not gonna see anything. So I just felt like I was gonna hurt him. So he was just like, "Just trust me, just let go and just do it." And I was like, "Okay, we got through it."
Well, I think stuff like that, and also again learning the positions. And for what I look at it from a stance, like you were talking about back issues, I'll tell you right now, I got scoliosis in my back, so I get it. A lot of us have back issues, but look at it also from a stance, like you're talking about the BBW side of things. Like for me, like I'll be honest with you, curvaceous, the voluptuosity factor we talked about. There's a lot of great people in the BBW industry. Dare I say, a whole lot of women, but everything that you encompass with your scenes, and like you talk about being relatively new, I think you encapture that with every position and everything that goes into it. I think that's what made the great scenes that you Christian both had, you know?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. But hey, I'm a guy, and I told you this. Like one of the things that I really pride myself on is beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. Influenced by my mother and my grandmother, God rest their soul. So I think it doesn't matter the size, doesn't matter the color, what have you, with women. I think a lot of people need to appreciate women for the work of art that they are, and I include you in those sentiments because it does showcase. And I got to say this right now, Mr. Mysterious. We'll talk about Don Prince. Let's talk about Mr. Mysterious first here, Gemini, because you two, another one, great chemistry. Talk about working with him because there's a lot of content which we'll get into more of here. But I wanted to ask you about Mr. Mysterious as well.
Oh, he's awesome. He's one of my favorite talents to work with. He was also I started working with him around the same time I started working with Christian. He was another one I was talking to. I met him at AVN, but my baby was only 3 weeks old, so I wasn't working last AVN. But we met and we gave each other a hug, and then he reached out a few weeks later and said, "You ready to go? I'm coming to Vegas." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go get talent tested." So I went and got tested, and Mr. Mysterious and I just clicked like that. Like, I don't know. I have a way of picking out the freaks, and I knew with him he was one of those freaky ones. He said, "Bring your toy bag." I used to host fetish parties back in Boston, so I brought my whole BDSM bag, whips, chains, handcuffs, you name it, I brought it. I threw the bag on the bed, the first scene with him, and he said, "What'd you bring?" So I opened the suitcase, and his face lit up. So my our first scene, mine and Miss Mysterious, is his first experience with like a BDSM scene, and now we've kind of thrown that into a lot of our scenes because it brings his character out and it brings Princess Gemini out.
Whew. And I gotta say right now, people, if you've not seen the scene, it's a very interesting scene. I'm gonna say this as right now, BDSM, and here's what's great about us as people, because like we talk about fetish modeling, we talk about the adult entertainment industry. I think you can agree with me when it comes to us as individuals. We all have our preferences. We like what we like. So it's something, to explore in said scene and add a little flavor to it.
Yeah. And him and I have worked together, I don't know, at least 7 or 8 times since April. Um, we're gonna be working together again in about 3 weeks, the first or second week of February. He's got a content house, so about 12 models and 12 male talents, and like 4 or 5 camera guys. We're all going to a house for 4 days, and we all work together, bring our own ideas, and we all work together to help bring everybody's ideas to life. Like, you partner up with this person, you do that shoot. So all different models and talents from all part of everywhere are coming together, and we'll be there for 4 days, and we'll come up with a bunch of content for each of us. The last time we did it, Mysterious did it. He said everybody did like 47 shoots in the house that weekend with all the talent. So 47 shoots that weekend. So that's a lot of work, a lot of fucking.
Oh my goodness. First and foremost, as you put that, I'm like, that is, as you so bluntly put it, I'm like, God dang, man, that's a lot of sex going on in one house. You know what I'm saying? 47, my goodness. But no, I mean, I guess, and I'm going to say this again with the utmost sincere respect, that's the dedication to the craft, is what that is, besides the overall pleasurable experience, to put it bluntly. But god dang, that is a lot of dedication to the craft, and you got to respect that.
It is, and it's also a good way to network with the other models and talents in the industry. Like, where Mysterious knows my vanilla life, and he knows that that's easy for me to put those 4 days aside, and gives me 2 months notice. And I ask my questions, and I'm able to plan for it. He's able to know I'm going to be there, and it works because I can get that. Last time I got 7 or 8 shoots done that whole weekend that I was with them. So now I know this time I'm coming. So that's basically, I put out a scene a week. So if I do 8 shoots, that's 2 months of work.
Whew. And you know what that is that I also like about it? It's consistency, and I could tell just by talking to you, not just for this interview, but outside of it. I think what makes it also great about the scene, besides we talked about your beauty and everything that encompasses the work of art that women are, Gemini, but I could tell just by talking, you're very professional, you're very vibrant, and that's also makes a scene, because if you see the person and they feel like, oh, okay, this is just what I have to do, but every time I watch one of yours, I look at it from a stance of, this is someone who's passionate, is very vibrant, and who's so very lively and lovely, and I think that also captures with your personality as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Ah, you're very welcome. And I think that's how you have to be, because again, there's going through the motions, and a lot of people can, relate to that when it comes to whatever endeavors and jobs. You're kind of going through the motions, and some people really don't have their hearts into it. But I think that's what's great about what you do, and a lot of the great girls in the adult entertainment industry, the hearts are in it. And I could tell you got a hell of a heart and you got a hell of a drive. So I mean, it's one of the things that a lot of people can gravitate, resonate, and dare I say, generate with you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Another one I have to ask as well, man. We're talking about Don Price, Price and the Princess. You know what I'm saying? Prince, Don Prince, and Princess Gemini. God dang, man. Prince and Princess, royalty at its finest. Can you talk about working with Don?
He was a lot of fun. I just worked with him. BBW Highway shot us. Uh, he was fun. We had never met each other. We knew of each other.
Mhm.
So I've everybody loves Don Prince. All the girls love working with him, and he showed that when I worked with him. But it was fun because he's never worked with me, and most because I'm new to the West Coast, they don't know my secrets and my tricks yet. So when I work with a new talent that doesn't know my secrets and tricks yet, it's always a lot of fun. So that one came out really good.
It did, and I think what's great about it too is like we were talking about the liveliness. Like you have a lot of great tricks, and I think like we talk about not to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I think the tricks that you have, it's one of those ones that's just like it's a shock and awe. And it's also one of those ones where it's a lot of fun. It puts a lot of smiles on faces. I think a lot of people will be happy to see what goes on where we get to see your tricks. You know.
Yeah, I steal a lot of souls. They come back begging for more.
Oh, well, that's a good thing, man. They want to have them keep coming back for more. You know what I'm saying? That means you're doing your job to the best of your abilities. So, got to give you much love on that front.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And another thing I got to say, first and foremost, man, I've also seen a lot of your many vids. And people, if you've not checked out the many vids as well, man, we got a lot of stuff on Bunny De La Cruz. We got a lot of great stuff. Women wise, threesome wise, there's one in the bubbles. You really get to accentuate and exude yourself in many different scenes, really and capture, whether it be in bubbles, the overall sexual and the raw and passion side of things. I think that's what's great about your clips as well, because everything's different. And I think everything that encompasses what you do on many vids as well. Man, this is just a lot of fun. And I got to say, if you guys have not checked out our many vids or anything that goes with Miss Princess Gemini, you guys are missing out because there's a lot of quality content here.
Yeah, there's lots of it. Some of it's still from the very beginning, just like the one from the Poconos was just me and my husband taking a walk in the woods, and that one's still on there, and that one is going on 5 years ago. So some of it's some of my old stuff from when we were just messing around with FetLife, and then you can kind of see me grow up through my many bits.
But I think that's great as well because from your evolution to where you are now, I mean, what a lot of people that's great about it too is because we live in this world of social networking, right? Social media, everything is at our fingertips from the technological standpoint. I think that's great because of someone who's never heard of a Princess Gemini, bada bing, here we go. You know what I'm saying? We get to see it from start to where you are now. And I also look at it from a stance as we are in January month. There's AVNs, there's the BBW Awards, everything that is in the crop of the adult entertainment industry from award shows to glitz to glamour and the pageantry. Everybody's out there to shine and do their thing and produce content.
Yeah. Well, this year AVN is virtual.
Of course.
The award show is virtual because of Corona, but not Corona. Is it Corona?
You
Yeah,
have the
Corona.
coronavirus.
I don't know why that. I don't know why I even question that. But that's they're not having the convention, but some of the talents are doing, like I said, Mysterious got the house, he's doing a content house. What that is different groups are getting together. Everybody's going to talent testing and getting full plan LSTD work, and you have to get a COVID test 3 days before the content event. And that's the only way you can get into these events. You have to clear with the COVID. So everybody's tested. So just in case that came up, but everybody's tested and we're all in the clear to go and work.
And also, you just segued because I think you also grade up a very valid and clear point there, Gemini. I mean, that's what I also love is because everybody's getting tested. Everything that's going on in this world, from the coronavirus, the pandemic, and everything that's encompassed, even when we're in the beginning stages of 2021 here, for my goodness gracious, it's one of those things where you're tested, everybody's safe, and that's how it has to be. And I think that's also one of the great things about the adult entertainment industry because some people have their naysayers and it's just like, oh, and they put it down. But I also look at it from a stance is you're lifting each other up. Everybody does their thing from a job standpoint, from a content standpoint. Everybody's safe, and everybody's tested. So I think that's a lot that goes into it that also a lot of people don't see, and that's why I respect a lot of the great content creators like yourself that everybody does and puts their best foot forward.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. And another thing I have to say is, I'll be honest with you. I look at it from a stance of, like, we were talking about the fact that you're very body positive, and I love that because I'm going to say this right now. BBW, Big Beautiful Woman, such a great market, such great talents in that category. And that's the great thing about the adult entertainment industry and porn all in all. There's so many great categories, and there's so many different preferences and people that encompass their uniqueness. But I also like to say from the fact that I love the fact that your body positivity, and I'm going to tell you something right now. You're lovely and you look absolutely wonderful. But it's from a stance where I love the body positivity because I love the confidence that you exude and accentuate. I think that's very key for what we need now in this day and age.
Yeah, I understand that. I grew up in a very not body positive family.
Hmm?
So for me to push body positivity is important because it just it I think the way I grew up affected the way I look at things now. So that's why I push body positively, because I'd like everybody to have a place where they can come, a safe place, a judgment-free zone that they can just be themselves. Because I wasn't allowed to do that growing up. I didn't wasn't allowed to be who I wanted to be until I was married and had my third kid.
Whew. I think what's also interesting, and I want to add on to that because, again, beautifully said. From a stance, I also look at it from, like, as a kid, and I'll be honest with you, my weight fluctuated, you know what I'm saying? And as a lot of us do. But it's from a stance where I never looked at women, it doesn't matter what the size or shape, I just looked at women for women. And I think what's great about it, too, is the plus size modeling game. We look at people like Ashley Graham. We look at so many people that have changed the game for plus size models and modeling in general. And that's what I really love about it. Because I'm going to say this right now. Look at the imagery of a shot, right? And I'm going to use a weird analogy, and I've used this analogy before. The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross, God rest his soul. I'm a pop culture nerd, so take this ride with me, Gemini. It's one of those things where, like, when Bob Ross is starting the painting, right? 30 minutes later, we got like a masterpiece. We got waterfalls, we got everything. And it's one of those analogies where it's like, are you actually looking at it? Are you looking at it? Or are you really looking at it? You know what I'm saying? Because each and every imagery shot that we see of you and so many beautiful women that encompass BBW modeling, it does not matter. Women are absolutely beautiful. I think it shows and shines with your imagery and everything that encompasses your photos and everything that you put forward. So god dang, man, the body positivity era is where it's at, and it's where a lot of people need to be. And I got to say this, and I mean this with the utmost honesty here, a lot of people got to be more open-minded.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, apologies for the rant there, but I think you can tell it's very okay.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'm very passionate about that because I see people do that, and I'll be honest with you, I wanted to smack a couple of my friends because I love my friends, and some of them are my best friends. But sometimes you got to smack them because they're just ugh. Anyway, I digress. We all have that one friend, so it's one of those things where they have that ignorant point of view, and I don't mean to laugh and snicker, but it's the truth. A lot of them have the ignorant point of view, and I think it's sad because it just showcases just ignorance and just something that we really don't need, especially with the times that we got going on in the world now. We need some positivity and shed some light onto things. My goodness gracious, but you know what I'm saying? And I think it's just the overall appreciation, dare I say, not body worship, but body appreciation, just women for their overall body types. And I got to say this right now. When I was young, back in my teenage, I'm 28 years old now, going on 29, right? So in my young days, when I was coming out of high school 10 years ago, I'll be honest with you, a lot of girls that were into me and who I've exchanged numbers and relationships with were curvy women. And it didn't bother me, you know what I'm saying? A little voluptuosity factor, the curviness. There's something attractive about a beautiful curvy woman such as yourself and many women in general. There's that appeal to it, you know?
Yeah. I like curvy girls.
Yes, and I mean it does. It has that thing to it that's very unique, and it's something that's. And I think that also what exudes and generates and really gravitates us to ladies like yourself because it's the confidence. And we were talking about body positivity, but it's the confidence that showcases in that. And like you were talking about growing up, like not really body positivity as a youngin. It's one of those things. Like look at the times, look at the evolution where we are as people. Just the amount of things that happen in the 20 plus 30 years of our existence on this thing here that we call life. It's amazing just to see the growth of, I guess, just the industry and just the overall, thought process, the ideology, so to speak, of people.
Right, yeah.
So I also look at it from a stance as, and I got to ask you this first and foremost: is there anything that you can't do, Gemini? Because I got to tell you something. I mean, you're kind of like they said, the jack of all trades. You're like a Jill of all trades. Because first and foremost, fetish modeling, adult star, and you're a lifestyle event planner. Now I got to ask you something about the event planner. What is it that really gravitated you about doing like event planning?
Um, I don't even know. My husband and I went to our first party. We were about 21, 22. Uh, I looked around and I watched the door guy, I watched the party promoter, and I looked at my husband and I said, when I grow up, I want to do this. And then a few years later, I ended up working for Athena's Home Novelties, selling sex toys. And they give you party leads, and they knew I was a swinger in the lifestyle. So they gave me party lead to Stefano from G Spot. And I started doing his fetish night with him, promoting it and selling my sex toys there. And then eventually I ended up being a dom in the dungeon, bringing the simian and putting girls on the simian at the fetish night and controlling and doing edge play and stuff like that. And then from there, I Stefano did swingers nights on Saturdays, fetish nights on Wednesdays. I helped Stefano on his weekends at G Spot, and then from there, Stefano and I parted ways, and I did Princess Gemini Productions, and I started hosting my own fetish nights and parties a couple times a month.
First and foremost, I gotta congratulate you on that too, because it just showcases your mind and your overall business acumen and regimen for hard work. And I think that's awesome because not only do you offer that variety with the adult industry, but also with planning wise, there's a lot that goes into it. And I think it just shows your overall, dare I say, grind. I'm gonna use another word that begins with the G, your grit at what you do within your career path.
Yes.
And first and foremost, I think that's very cool from an event planner standpoint because you get to plan many events and there's a lot of things that go into that as well. The mind keeps going. If the mind keeps going, that's a wonderful thing. You know what I'm saying? The grind doesn't stop and it just shows from your overall thought process. I think that's very admirable.
Yes, I love putting events together because it brings everybody together. I have social anxiety, so it was more of a test for myself when I started doing events because it got me out of the house and around people at least once a month.
You know what it is too, and I can relate to that. And I don't know if you feel this way, but we'll discuss this for a second because again, you also brought up a great life issue, social anxiety. I'm kind of one of the ones that's like very quiet. I don't say I'm like antisocial, but I'm kind of a quiet guy and I'm respectful of everybody, but I'm kind of like keep to myself. But that's a good thing to do because you get to go out there and meet people and you also get to, overcome, I guess, an obstacle, not really a feel, but your nerves. And it gets a lot of people out there and the overall camaraderie, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep.
So I think that's what's great about your work, and I think that's what's great about everything that you encompass. And I mean, I'm going to say this right now from someone who is being like in the swinging lifestyle. I mean, being a swinger, it's great. You get to spice things up in the bedroom, and it also gets to expand the horizons from a sexual standpoint. I think that's very healthy, and I think everything that you're doing from a relationship standpoint and everything that you encompass within your films, I think that's very healthy. I think it's great that you're actually providing that variety for people, and I think a lot of people will continue to resonate, generate, dare I say, gravitate towards you, Miss Princess Gemini.
I hope so. Because of COVID, I haven't been able to host my big Las Vegas party here yet. I'm starting in the process, setting my crew of people up, looking for DJs and looking for locations for once it's safe to do so. I've done a few like private events, but I still haven't been able to put my big party together. I want to give my good friends that are back at the East Coast time to plan also. So I want to give them like 2 months notice. So anybody back home wants to come join the party, they can.
Well, dare I say, my pop culture nerd is coming out again. Ain't no party like a Princess Gemini party because a Princess Gemini party don't stop. I see you. I see you. Just ready to party out there. All right.
Right. There's always an after party. There's the main party, then the after party. You never want to miss the after party. That's where the fun shit happens.
That is very, very true. Well, first and foremost, we do need a lot of that. This is also where I wanted to segue off of you because here's the thing, man. We're in COVID. We're quarantined. We're coronavirus. It's taking a lot of people. There's a vaccine out now, but god dang, man, people need to wear their masks, take safety precautions, social distance. But first and foremost, I think I could say, as everybody listens to this and as everybody in the entire world, man, I cannot wait till things finally somewhat have a sense of normalcy and we can all get back out and party and just have some fun with each other, you know?
Yes, we will celebrate with an orgy here in Las Vegas. So make sure you plan for an Las Vegas orgy when everybody is corona free.
He's putting down the orgy gauntlet. I like your style. All right. Oh my goodness. Now here's the okay, funny story, sidebar here. Okay, so you talk about orgy. Here's the thing, and I think a lot of kids born in the 90s will attest to this. So when we were kids, right? So obviously I did not know what the orgy like obviously orgy is now, and obviously I'm a grown ass man. So yes, you people know what we're talking about here. Don't act like you don't know, like it's friggin' health class, you know. Well, he said orgy. Y'all know. Anyway, I digress. So orgy, the thing that really stuck out to me as a kid was the rock band, because there's also a rock band called Orgy. And I remember on Total Request Live, for those who remember Carson Daly on MTV, they actually played one of their hits. So my first addition to the word orgy actually came from the rock band. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you remember the rock band Orgy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. And now, first and foremost, so for for like a oh my goodness, when they first came on TRL, I think I was like 7 or 8. So this is like 99, 2000, right? So around that time period, I'm just like, oh, that's the name of a rock band, not knowing obviously what orgy means. You know what I'm saying? So that's the mind of a 7 or 8 year old at the time. You know,
That's funny.
it is. You see a lot of things in popular culture. I think that's great, whether it be music or movies that really kind of encompass our, and pique our interest from the sexual standpoint, everything that really goes into what we like as people. And I think that really attests to who we are. And I think that's awesome because, like, again, we talk about your films and every film that has been in the evolution of pornography, I think it just showcases, and everything from the digital age that we have now for the quality that we have in videos and stuff, you really get to see it from like an 80s porn to what we have in 2021. Just the changes, the technology, and everything from a story standpoint, because that's what it is. You're telling the story with your bodies, and that's really what showcases in each and every film and each and every event, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Me too. And I think from a stances, I'll be honest with you, the porn sites that we had when I was a kid, like the first ever porn site I was on was like girls.com. And the premise was, I don't even know if it's still out there. It's like one or two girls, they're in a van, they pick up a girl off the off the street, and hell, girls hunting girls, premise people, and then there's the scene. So we come from that when that was like, my goodness, 2005, and now we're 2021, and we just get to see a lot of different stuff from porn parodies, from different categories, and I think there's something that meets the eye for everybody.
Right. See, I never watched porn. So that was and I still don't watch porn.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly don't know how I ended up here. I just let the universe lead me here. And I was like, oh, this is what we're doing today. All right. So I, I like making it. And when my husband first moved in with me, we've been together since we were seventh grade. We moved in together when we were 18.
Oh, God
And
bless.
when he first moved in with me, he started watching porn around me. And the first porn I was like, wow, that's a cool idea, was the Bang Bus, the white van that came and like picked up the
Yeah.
girls. And that was the one I remember. And we were talking about the other day. I was like, I really want to do something like that. So that's a goal of mine. I want to get gang banged in a bus and then like thrown in the desert, just left there.
Okay, first and foremost, great taste in porn, by the way, and your husband's right. That's a great taste to start off with, and I'm not gonna lie, that really is, because I remember those as a young teenager as well. So that's very interesting though, because I'll be honest with you, I think out of all the adult stars that I've had on, because I love giving people the platform to tell their story, I think out of all the people that have worked in the adult industry, I think you're the first person to ever say on this show, like, yeah, I didn't watch porn, I just let the universe guide me. That's interesting though, because you also get influenced by your husband watching that, and this piques the interest somewhat, and then bada boom, here you are. You know what I'm saying? That's a very interesting and unique perspective on how you got to where you are.
I That's the only way to look at it because I really have no idea how I got here. I was I grew up in a very Catholic family, very closed off family. So my husband just ruined me. Took all my morals and said you don't need them.
Well, I can attest to that because my family on my mother's side is Catholic, and I'm Catholic as well. But I also look at it from a stance like, we're not hurting anybody. We're just talking about the one thing called 1, 2, 3 LOVE. We're talking about love. We're talking about passion. We're talking about sex. We're not really doing anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we're out there, killing anybody, robbing anybody. We're just trying to spread the thing with love. You know what I'm saying? We're spreading with love, that LOVE, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you freaking just talk about putting your husband under the bus there, man. Your husband ruined you, got rid of all your morals and said F it. But no, I look at it from a stance of that also just piques the interest, though, again. Like you were talking about freakiness beforehand, but like sometimes you got to experiment. Sometimes you got to, find yourself from the sexual side of things and try to, feel out what you like, you know?
Right. Like my husband's part of the swinger part, but he more watches with the BDSM part. He's not a dom or a top, or he's not a sub or anything like that, and he's not a cuck. He just watches with the BDSM. The BDSM actually helps me. That's how Mysterious kind of got in it with me because I was having anxiety because it was my first time meeting him, and he's like, "What calms you down?" I was like, "I don't know. Why don't you just beat me?" And that's kind of how where it went. He just like took a flogger and started doing flogging my upper back and stuff, and it takes the anxiety away and just like makes it easier for me to flow with life in the scene and everything. So that's how that works.
Well, first and foremost, you also brought up another pop culture memory here. I'll be honest with you. Take it back to the 80s here. The Daz Band. Let it whip. Let's whip it, baby. Child, let's whip it right. Let it whip. There's a
Mhm.
lot of meaning right there. And hey, sometimes it helps, you know?
Right.
So I got to say, I think with everything from the adult entertainment industry, and here's what I love about giving people like yourselves a platform, tell their story. We got a lot of great, beautiful women in there. We got a lot of awesome people in there. And I think people like yourself, and I'm going to say this once more with the utmost sincerity and respect, you're an asset because there's a lot of great assets, whether it be rather new to the game, whether it be veterans into the adult entertainment industry. Everybody has their place and everybody has their shine, and there's going to be continuous growth from you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And I think that's what we have to do as people. We have to uplift the spirits because there's a lot of people out there on the grind working hard. There's a lot of great content and beautiful things to be made, especially orgy parties. After we just discussed that about orgies, since, hey, the quarantine's over, let's get the orgy on. But yes,
I'll be making some orgy scenes, hopefully, Mysterious's Content House, because he said we're gonna have an orgy one night. I have another like a swinger swap scene I planned in my head I want to do too over there. So hopefully we'll have enough time to do them all.
now I'm gonna say this right now. So, how long do you prepare for the bang bus thing, getting gang banged on a bus? So, how far into the future would you like that to happen? Is it, or you just gotta let the universe, tend to unfold as it should?
I really just have to send a message to somebody else I already work with because it doesn't technically have to be a bus.
Oh,
There's other there's other talent has his own RV, so I could message him and say this is what I do for a scene and have him do it with me. So I can easily do it when I want to do it.
okay, fair enough. Because I'm about to say, man, you start from a bus into an RV. And here's the thing, I'm going to say this right now because it's actually a very good and valid point. We hear the term the Mile High Club. Like sex on an airplane or sex, I don't know, in public or on like on a transportation, dare I say in the backseat of a car. There's something about that that's very exhilarating, gets the adrenaline going. I mean, hey, sometimes you got to let that raw passion out outdoors.
Have you seen my gangbang on the boat?
I have. Yes. But here's the thing.
On a boat.
Yes. I'm on a boat. But that's the thing too. Like boats, there's something about that. It's just the overall, you know what it is? It's liberation. It's freedom. You know what I'm saying? And it really showcased in that one of yours.
Oh yeah. That was
And
that was before Princess Gemini. That was at the beginning of Princess Gemini, I think.
it
Yeah.
was. But like I said, you got to start somewhere. And I mean, you start, dare I say to quote Drake, you started from the bottom, now you're here. So I mean, hey, look at you.
Yeah.
And
Right.
exactly. And I also look at it from a stance too, because I have a couple final things that I want to touch base on. I'm going to say this right now. The overture is here, Miss Gemini. Anytime you want to come back on the show, you're more than welcome to. I had a lot of fun picking your brain and talk about the industry with you. You're an absolute blast.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed humming.
You're very welcome. First and foremost, I got to say this about you because now, when it comes to people that get into the adult entertainment industry, because there's a lot of people that are very driven, doesn't matter what endeavor, but we're focusing on the adult entertainment industry here. Do you have any advice to give them, whoever wants to get from the female side of things, the female point of view, the female perspective? What advice would you give them for those that want to get into the adult entertainment industry and see what you're doing and see your progression and your growth? What advice would you give to other ladies?
Make a Twitter page. Um, Reach out to other models, get references because it's a word of mouth industry. They're gonna look for references. And as you grow, keep the ego low because that once that ego goes, that there goes your reputation.
First and foremost, from the digital standpoint, the technological standpoint, beautifully said, because that's what you have to do in this day and age. But number two, you know what? Let that ego go. I like that because here's the thing: a lot of people don't even realize that. I mean, the youngins coming up, the humble is the way to go. You have to stay humble. You have to stay true to yourself and have that professionalism about you. And I mean, I know it may sound cliche, but there's a lot of validity in those statements and sentiments.
Yeah. But because you're really working with people who everybody in the industry has a story, how you got there or not. There's still the backstory to why you're there. And most people are coming recovering addicts or they're coming from they were homeless at one point. They have a story. You don't know who you're talking to. And this is in general with life anyways. But everybody has a story and you don't know who's who. But some of the ones that come in here and they get established and or they've been in a while and they have the ego, you can tell. And they'll, or even at AVN, if you walk in, they're like, oh, don't you know who I am? Do you know who you're talking to? Well, I don't watch porn, so I don't know who I'm talking to. And I'm talking to this blonde chick in front of me. So for me, everybody's a person here because I'm not a fan of anybody in here in the industry because I didn't watch porn to begin with. But then there's the other people who just they're rude about it and they're nasty and it's just like why would I want to work with you if you think like that and talk like that? It's just I don't even want to put my brand with your brand.
You know what it is too? It's that It's that mentality of just cockiness and, like you mentioned, ego, but it's just like, don't you know who I am? Here's what I've done. And then, like, that's great. Okay. But here's the thing, at the end of the day, you want to be cordial and look a person in the eye, shake your hands, and then we talk about, like, and give advice, or just find that camaraderie and find that overall acumen where we can work together on a good, on a fine and very standard ground. But it's also one of those things. It's like, don't have to have an attitude about it. Let's just talk. Tell me who you are, introduce each other. Because at the end of the day, another valid point, we're all people in this thing that we call life.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a word of mouth industry. If you're gonna do something foolish, it's gonna spread around. And same thing with the STD. If you're gonna go and pay the $200 for talent testing, stay within the industry. Don't go off and play with civilians, because then you're gonna bring in the diseases to the industry. So that's where we draw the line here now. That's where it's different from back home, because there was no talent testing. I was tested regularly because I was in the industry and I was working with other people, but the lifestyle doesn't test. So we have to now be careful how we interact with the lifestyle and how I want to bring that to my party. So that's why another reason why party hadn't jumped up right away, because now I have to kind of twist and like tweak a little bit of what I do here to what I did back home.
Well, I'm going to say this right now about how you're doing your testing in your parties, and this is another reason why I like you. We talked about your overall internal and external beauty, but I got to tell you something, Miss Princess Gemini. You got that intellect. You're a very smart, lovely human being.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I got to say this right now, people. If you've not seen Princess Gemini's films, if you've not seen her overall work, her overall content, excuse me, it's one of those things where you have to go out there and look at it. You have to go out there and check it out. Why? Because it's good. Emphasis on the good. Emphasizing on you, Princess Gemini. So this is where I step back. Please promote the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, your overall websites, and where everybody can find your content, your films, and everything associated and exuded with you. Please go right ahead and promote it.
The easiest way to find me is princessgemini.com. You can also find me on OnlyFans under Princess Gemini, FetLife, Princess Gemini, Instagram, Princess Gemini 666, Twitter, I'm also Princess Gemini. I'm Princess Gemini everywhere. You can find me. I'm easy to find.
Well, you see, that's what's great about it too, is because a lot of people sometimes with their handles, they have a little something added flavor wise. But I'm like, keep it simple. You know what it's like? It's like when you learn in math class, the KISS formula. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what you learned in school, right? Like, for instance, sometimes you just got to keep it simple, stupid. Just put your name across everything, and boom, here you are.
Yep. I want to be known all over.
Exactly, but I think that's what's great. I think you're going to be known all over, and I think what's another thing I just wanted to add about you is there's a lot of great people with professionalism. There's a lot of great people that do a lot of great things behind the scenes and in front of the camera, and you are one of them. So I'm going to say this right now. I truly wish you nothing but love, happiness, and continued success on your path.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So, folks, beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are, and I include Princess Gemini in those sentiments. My name is Mike Larkin. This concludes another edition of On the Mic with Mike. We encompassed a lot in this interview, and please stay tuned for more, because there's a lot from the adult entertainment industry, pro wrestling, music industry, what have you, because this is a platform for people to tell their story like we did tonight. So, thank you guys for listening, and Gemini, once more, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you again for having me.